Hey YouTube, it's Gypsy Chick, and I'm going to share with you guys my experience with my first week of the weekly deck challenge that I have decided to do. Almoon513, her link is down below, started a little video challenge. She did, I guess, through the whole month of July. She focused on one particular deck each week, and the idea is for people like her, I'm another one, those of us that have a lot of different decks. Sometimes you get kind of used to using the same ones over and over again, and it's good to kind of, you know, do some kind of an exercise to get yourself to keep working with other decks, or maybe new decks that you haven't worked with a lot, or, you know, whatever. So she did, I think she picked Oracle decks she had gotten. She's pretty familiar with the tarot, and I think she's probably pretty comfortable with the ones that she uses, but she focused on Oracle decks for her for her weekly challenges. So I decided to, well, I'm not going to say I decided to do that with tarot, because I don't know, the week's not over yet. I don't plan things that far ahead because I'm crazy like that. I decided to start out with tarot because I have a couple of decks that I've gotten and kind of struggled with. Like I got them and I was like, you know, it's like that wasn't an immediate thing. Because I have some that I love so much, so I was like, oh, mine! And then I just haven't really given enough of the other decks enough love. So that's what I decided to do with my version of the weekly deck challenge. So for the first week, I decided to do Steampunk Tarot. This is one of the first decks that I bought. My daughter Goo has actually used it a little bit here and there, but she left it here this summer, and so I'm kind of, you know, just kind of like keeping it for her. And I decided to start with that one because, you know, I've looked at it a lot, but I was kind of hesitant at first. I think mainly because they weren't true to the Rider-Waite system, and I was not used to that. And I felt like Barbara Moore strayed too far from the path. I know, it sounds so dumb coming out of my mouth because I'm such not a following the crowd kind of person, but that's how I felt. I was new to tarot. I was newer. I mean, I've studied it before, but it was always kind of in that same context of the Rider-Waite deck. You know, the last time I kind of looked into tarot and got into tarot, I didn't have access to or know about the millions and billions of tarot cards that are out there. I was just studying the Rider-Waite deck and the tarot itself, which is good, but, you know, there's more to it. So, went back to Steampunk Tarot. And when I say Steampunk Tarot, I am referring to the Barbara Moore Steampunk Tarot. I do love this tarot deck. I need to tell y'all this. The deck challenge that I did was incredible. I gave it some structure. I know that Owl Moon 513, when she talked about some of the decks, she was using mainly Oracle cards, if it wasn't all Oracle cards, and so I think most of hers was kind of doing daily draws and things like that. Because I'm using tarot, I sort of have, I had a different angle, I had a different approach, and I'll show you what I did. And I'm not going to go into this much detail in all of my other videos, so pay attention now. But this is my tarot journal. I've showed this in other videos. And I have a little section here called Deck Info. And in the Deck Info is where I'm going to keep, whenever I decide to do these weekly deck challenges, I'm going to save it here. So like this month, I'm really going to try hard to stick to the whole month of August. But if I don't, you know, I'm not going to like punish myself for it, because I'll get back to it, you know, the next time I have a week where I can kind of focus. I'm pretty much sure that whenever school time starts up again, I may be MIA for a bit while I make adjustments. So here's my weekly deck challenge schedule. I'm going to try to do this so that you can see it without it being too awkward. But you can kind of see, like, each day of the week I have something that I had planned that I was going to do. And Thursday, they're all pretty self-explanatory. Monday, there's a new deck spread, and again, I think it was Almoon513 that talked about it. I think she said she found it on the Eclectic Tarot forum, because I think I went there and actually pulled it off. I don't think I got all this off her video. I think I looked it up. I don't even know now. But anyway, there's a new deck spread where you basically kind of interview your deck and you ask your deck direct questions about itself. So I kind of like that. Again, I was kind of skeptical because it's kind of like, man, and I've done it on a deck before, but I hadn't really used it that much. So I did on the Steampunk Tarot. And I kind of make a worksheet for this particular one because it's a spread and it's always the same. And it helps me kind of, stay in control of how much I journal because I can get very writey. And so here's, the Steampunk Tarot. I put the date. I totally geeked it out and color-coded it because I'm a nerd and I can't help it. So tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your limitations? What do you bring to the table? How best can I work or collaborate with you? And what's the potential outcome of the relationship? So basically, my tarot deck just kind of, gave me some pretty cool answers. It talked about, like, the strength has to do with memories, which I think was kind of cool because Steampunk Tarot by nature is very reflective of times past, but it also has elements of a futuristic type of world also. So I kind of like that, bringing the past into the present, especially when it comes to healing or learning. You tend to look back in order to give you the insight you need to move forward. So I liked that answer. I liked the fact that it said that. How best can I work with you? The Four of Swords came up, and words that came into my head. I have quotes around it. I don't think it came into my head. I think I read it out of the manual. It's quoted. I'm going to say I read it out of the manual. But it says, "Still the sword, still the mind." And I don't have them pulled out, and I'm not going to waste time pulling them out. And the Four of Swords in the Steampunk Tarot deck it's kind of like, well, it's pretty Rider Waite. It's somebody laying there with swords in their face. It basically talks about stilling your mind and taking control of yourself, even in the face of chaos or troubles. If you still your mind a little bit, you can kind of still the anxiety. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Basically kind of saying, don't try to maybe don't try to read into it too hard, and don't take things too harshly. Just take in the information, meditate on it, think about it, and use it to your advantage. Don't start tripping out because the death card comes up in your spread, whatever. And the outcome was the World card. That's always a good sign. The outcome card being the World card is typically a pretty good thing, so I took that as a good sign. I also wanted to make a note that I did not read reversals with the Steampunk Tarot. I read I did read the manual a little bit, and I've read, some of Barbara Moore's stuff, and she didn't feel pulled to do it with this deck. You can tell from the back of the cards, they're not, they're not done in a mirror image sort of way like a lot of cards are. So in keeping with that mindset and that intention, I did not do reversals, and I will not do reversals with this particular deck. The Steampunk Tarot has enough of a representation of the up and the downside of every one of those cards that, for someone who reads intuitively, will pick it up. If it's something, depending on the context, if it's something that's negative, I'll say it. But if I get a positive feeling from it, and it, working in conjunction with the other cards, if it's positive, it's positive. So I don't feel the need to designate reversals or to, kind of look at it that way. So that's another side note I did with that. All of the readings during this particular week, it was really funny because they all had to do with making a transition professionally, which is something that's kind of been in the back of my mind a lot. It's something that I'm kind of, making the first steps toward in my own life. And so that was kind of neat to feel like, the cards really tuned in to that, kind of vibe, I guess, that I'm putting out, is that, that was something that I was really thinking about, and I obviously really felt the need for some guidance on, because it popped up all week. I mean, everything I read this week had to do in some way with being in the situation that I'm in, and making sure that I'm evaluating things, in the order that they should be evaluated in, and acting when I should be acting, and then holding back when I should be holding back. So that was pretty cool. It was kind of a good affirmation. Anyway, like I said, I stuck with it all week. On Thursday, I have on there, it's most decks that come with a manual or some kind of a little white book have a spread in there that was kind of designed just for that deck. The Steampunk Tarot actually has a couple of them. I chose one that was fairly simple because I am busy, and unless I, make a point to set aside a couple of hours, I have to keep the readings, 7 cards or less, if possible. So I did do a, let's see how many cards were in it. I want to say it was 5 cards, but it might have been 6 cards. Yeah. It was 6 cards. And it was a really good reading. Again, that was one of the more insightful ones. It was called Panoramic Photograph. And that's in the Steampunk Tarot Manual. And it looks like this. It's kind of like a Celtic cross without the sidebar. It's basically kind of what it looks like. And it actually is very similar spacing. So I guess it's like Barbara took the panoramic photograph, basically took the Celtic cross and threw the sideboard away. And that's okay, because it worked out, and it was a really good spread for me. So, in a nutshell, and then the last day I do a blind 3-card pull, which means I just kind of lay them out in a long thing, and then I just kind of get a feeling of, 3 or 4 cards. And it was a funny story about this one because I really only got a feeling after 2 cards. I was like, I was like kind of like, I think that's it. I think that's it. And then I was like, yeah, but I said 3. I was going to pull 3. Okay, I'm just going to pull 1 more. I'm just going to, come on, just give me 1 more. Give me 1 more little hot spot. Just give me 1 more. And it was almost like, I had this, just take this one, kind of feeling. And I picked it up, and it was the same exact card as it had been in my spread the day before. It was like, and the way that it went with the other 2 that I had pulled legitimately, it was basically just a, oh yeah, and this still applies, by the way, since you had to have a 3rd card. Here, take this one again. Freaking, so I was like, okay, well, next time I'm just going to do a blind pull, and if I feel like drawing 2 cards, I'm going to stop at 2, and if I feel like drawing 10 cards, I'm going to do 10. I may not talk about all of them, but I will. So anyway, that was my week, and it totally and completely changed how I felt about Steampunk Tarot. I did struggle with the images at first, and after studying the deck and kind of opening my mind to it and learning to appreciate it for its uniqueness, really, really, really did a lot. And I was really glad that I did this deck challenge. So I highly recommend it to any of you that have multiple decks, or that just have one and you just want to like do something different with your deck and have some quality time, plan a play date with your tarot deck. Do this. It is a lot of fun. If you're interested in like the details, I guess, I'll post my little schedule that I did in the little description down here. So if you want to copy me, be a copycatter, and, not make up your own, totally kidding, then, check it out. Check out my schedule. And if you wanna use my schedule, then use it. If you wanna use it as a model and change it up, then do that. Because I don't really care what you do. But I would love you to, post a video response either to me or to Al Moon, because she's the one. She started it. So anyway, okay. Well, Chicky has to pee, so I gotta let her out, and I'm done talking because I'm getting all rambly and stuff. So you guys have a great night or day or morning or whatever the heck you're doing, and blessed be, I kept you on the flip side.